All right, we are live. Welcome. I am going to talk to you about Stellar. There was some news about Stellar with what they're doing with central banks. Also some new news on what's going on with Visa. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about, I have some new insights on where Bitcoin's price is going. And then I will take your questions. You don't have to ask me about Bitcoin or Stellar or cryptocurrency. You can ask me about anything, and we'll get to that in a minute. Let me mute my thing here. All right. So first of all, Stellar. Also, I am going to put in the description under this video the things I talked about. You can skip ahead to things you want, as well as links to references, things I'm talking about. So the first thing is, and I'll put the link to this in the description, Jesse Lund did an Ask Me Anything. Jesse Lund, VP from IBM, who's running the Bitcoin's world wire payment system, which uses the Stellar network. He let people ask them anything. I listened to that. He spoke for about an hour. He did not get to my questions. I'll talk about that in a minute, but what he did say gave me some insight. First thing is about central banks. It was almost a year ago that Jesse Lund said he was optimistic that soon a central bank would launch its own currency on Stellar Network, and it hasn't happened yet. Well, he says he's still optimistic. And he mentioned Sweden, and look at what Sweden is doing. Sweden's the oldest central bank, and he's hinting that they would be the first. I thought this was interesting because when I talked to him last January, he hinted that he thought one of the Asian central banks, I had the feeling, or someone else would be first. He said, yeah, Sweden for sure, but it would take a couple years. Well, now we're 1 year in, maybe it's another year out. And he also mentioned something about it would have to be passed by their legislature in order for it to happen. So he's optimistic, but I'm not as optimistic. I mean, I'm optimistic that someday, of course, everybody's going digital, but a central bank and soon, I don't know. So he and the other thing too, he mentioned, you know, they're really focusing on WorldWire, this payment system, and they're interested in the central bank thing, but I feel like they're sort of just focusing on WorldWire, and once they get some of that going, then they're going to refocus on getting the central banks moving. That might also be why it's a little delayed. Also, Visa announced that they are doing, which I also mentioned a couple weeks ago. I did a video saying how Visa is going to target business customers. And I said on the Stellar network, so this is what was interesting. They announced that they're working with IBM with their B2B Connect, which is commercial payments, and they're working with IBM. Now, this is good because IBM's payment solution is Stellar. So I think that means Visa is heading towards Stellar with this, but they didn't mention Stellar in the press release. There's no mention of Stellar. I don't think they'd want to create their own, but anyways, there's no mention, so I don't know. What was also interesting is there was also, and I'll put the link to this article, although it said there's a lot of this in the news, but Visa specifically said they're not working with Chain anymore. So Chain is the company that was bought by and turned into this Interstellar, which is a part of Stellar, which is the solution for IBM. So IBM's payment solution is Stellar, and this Interstellar is sort of working, trying to be sort of like an IBM in that they're helping companies get their internal operations onto the Stellar network. But why did Visa announce that they're not with Chain? Like, did they just leave? I just spoke to this Adam Ludwin, CEO of Interstellar, a couple weeks ago, and he said they're working with Visa. So I thought this was strange. I couldn't find anything else out about it. I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. It's interesting, no? Now, I had some questions for Jesse Lund, and I'll tell you what they are. Should I tell you what they are? Well, you could. Well, the bottom line is this. I don't want to bore you with my questions. Go to the link, and you'll see you can find davelevine.com and my questions. Here's the thing. I wish I made more noise to get Jesse Lund to answer my questions. And I don't know if there's a way to upvote my questions so they could have gone up. If there is, someone let me know. Next time we could do that. But also, I think, you know, Jesse Lund should talk to me. Whoever interviewed him on that show, I mean, it was okay, but I certainly would have done a better job. Why don't you all tweet Jesse Lund to answer davelevine.com's questions? Tweet him. I bet maybe he'll see it. first go on that Reddit link. You'll see my questions, you know, and tweet at him to answer my questions. And maybe also tell him next time, let me be the interviewer or come on my show. That would be great. Thank you for your help. All right. Now, all right. So then next I want to talk about some more info on more insight on Bitcoin's pricing. I'm going to turn on, and then we're going to take questions, okay, at the end. Questions about anything. I'm going to go live on this Instagram too, see if anybody tunes in. Okay, so it's yeah, that's on. All right, so next I want to talk about some insights into, actually, I don't want to do this on Instagram now because I got to share a screen for you. This is interesting stuff here. So first of all, I got a little more insight. Fidelity and New York Stock Exchange, as I've been saying, they're going to be buying Bitcoin for institutional clients. You know, I've been saying it's coming. They, Fidelity announced it. New York Stock Exchange. Now it looks like it's going to be beginning of December. But the question is, here's the whole thing. The price of Bitcoin doesn't start moving. It's not moving based on news. Nothing moves on news anymore. That was hype last year, the hype market. Now it's based on real buying volume. So until Fidelity and New York Stock Exchange are actually buying Bitcoin for large clients, the price of Bitcoin is not going to go up much. But it looks like that is going to start in the first quarter. But, you know, I thought Fidelity, they're going to announce it the day it opens. That's not the case. They announced it, but they're not really, it's not open yet, right? So we'll see when it opens. That's what we're waiting for, is it being open. And that also brings me to another point, which I think is important with these ETFs. Everybody talking about the Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin ETF. A Bitcoin ETF is important only if it's an ETF that is going to actually hold real Bitcoin, right? Meaning that people put money into this ETF and they use that money to actually buy Bitcoins. If it's an ETF that's just buying futures or some weird derivatives and, you know, crazy Wall Street, you know, vehicles, that's not going to help Bitcoin. That's just Wall Street mumbo jumbo. That's not, you know, the thing that moves the price is buying. So now some ETFs, I believe, are being proposed to actually hold Bitcoin. And some, like I said, are just buying futures and these things. And that's why everyone was excited. The CME and the CBOE started trading futures on Bitcoin, you know, in December. It certainly didn't help the price. Well, why? Because they're not buying any Bitcoins. It's just a gambling machine. So we'll see if an ETF ever gets approved and everyone gets excited. Let's see, you know, before we get excited, whether it's actually buying Bitcoin or not. And also one thing too, you know what? You can ask me. I have a little more to say on it, but I'm not going to bore you. Maybe you don't care, because let's wait till an ETF launches and then we can dig deep on that. So now what we're going to do is take questions. All right. Now, what I'm going to do here is I am going to put all of the questions into the description with some times attached to them. For those of you who are watching this on replay, if you want to be able to skip around, you can look in the description, find what question you want to answer to, and skip to it. Okay. So, and also, as I said before, if you want, oh, another thing too, if some people have shown interest in, they want to be mentored, you know, some mentoring business questions. I love doing that, but I think you need to come on the show. So if you're on YouTube, I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Click on it. Just come on the show here. Don't be scared. You know, if you're trying to start a business and you want to put yourself out there, you should at least be able to come on a stupid YouTube show, right? So don't be scared. Get your webcam ready and comb your hair. I even comb my hair. All right. So ask me anything. Let's see what we've got here. When institutional investors get into crypto, do you see stock market correlating with the crypto market? You know, this whole correlation thing. Right now, they are two very separate worlds. You know. The stock market and the financial markets are dependent on the credit cycle and what the Fed Reserve is doing and that whole world of money. and the crypto world has its own metrics and different groups of people buying and investing. Someday, when they're both like very intertwined, then there probably would be more correlation. But at this point, I don't see that, and I don't worry about it. And we'll see, things change. But right now, the two are very separate. In fact, this past month, it was interesting. I think it was one of the first times Bitcoin was less volatile than the stock market, believe it or not. And that is, oh, I forgot. Shoot, I was going to say something else about Bitcoin. I found this article, and I want to share my screen here. Let's see if we can do that. This. Okay, this article shows something that's very interesting, that the number of transactions per day increasing precedes the price going up. And I thought, and they explained why, which I thought made a lot of sense to me, which is that the on-chain transactions start growing as people accumulate. You know, the number of transactions that go on in exchanges and drive up the price, those aren't recorded on the main chain. So the bottom line here is that, and they have some statistics they show in this article where you see, this is in 2014, you can see here, okay, here the transactions per day started growing, but the price didn't start growing until here the price started growing, right? So the growth in transactions preceded, and then they don't show it here, but they also saw this in the 2012, I think there was a bubble in 2012-ish. Same thing happened. So I thought, let's take a look at Bitcoin. And sure enough, remember now I made my bold prediction that Bitcoin bottomed June 29. And we're seeing here for the first time transactions actually growing. I mean, the first time in a year, the transactions are starting to tick up. You can read that article if you want to know, sort of why that would matter. But this is another confirmation that we hit bottom in June. We're slowly ticking up. We'll see. Like I said, I don't make bets based on my ability to predict prices in the short run. Okay, it's just for fun. I buy and hodl. I'm hodling what I bought in 2014. But if you're dollar cost averaging, this is not the worst time to be accumulating. All right. Okay, so I forgot to say that. We're back to Ask Me Anything. And also, I'm on this Instagram, but I don't know if anyone... Yeah, you guys can ask questions on Instagram too, I guess. Sure. All right. Hey, Dave, what's up? How are you? Actually, I'm great. You know what? I got a new thing. You know, I've been crazy about the whole rolling your muscles. I have a new thing, which I knew about, called, so one of the things they found out about your health that has the greatest effect on extending life is two things. One is reducing calories, period. But the other thing they found is it's not just, this is an amazing experiment, a science experiment recently that I just think is just changed my life. They took three groups of mice. They gave them access, gave them the same amount of food every day, all the different groups of mice. One group of mice, though, only could eat during a 6-hour period. One group could eat during a 12-hour, and one during an 18-hour period. And I believe they all ate all of their food. So in other words, three groups of mice all ate the same exact thing, but the ones that had to eat within 6 hours were healthier and didn't gain weight. The ones who ate the same amount of food over 18 hours gained weight. So what this tells us is not only to reduce calories, but that you need time with no food in order for your body to start doing other things. So the bare minimum is that at least 12 hours without eating. And so the problem I was having, I eat healthy, I don't have too many calories, but it was all day long. It was until going to bed, I'd wake up. Anyways, I started with this intermittent fasting, and God, I feel so much better. I just, it's a little chat. Last night I woke up at 4 in the morning, so hungry, couldn't believe it. Just drank a bunch of water, went to sleep. I woke up in the morning, I wasn't hungry, which tells me it was just a drug and a habit. So for the person who asked, how are you? I'm feeling better than I have in a while, at least, health-wise, and otherwise as well. Okay. Can you explain how XLM will have value down the road? I'm considering, I mean, the story, I just look for these things. You can look at them as an ecosystem, right? Or if you compare it to like Facebook, when Facebook had 1 million users, you know, people didn't even know how they would make money. But they would say, well, they have 1 million users. If in a few years, if they have 100 million users, it's probably worth more, right? And it's a similar thing. If there's only so many people using the network, and 5 years from now, there's going to be so many more people using the network, then it should go up in value. And there's a lot of technicalities in that, and how much does it go up, and what's it really worth, and you can really, you know, dig in forever. But I think when something is growing as quickly as it seems that network is, as well as Ethereum and Bitcoin, I'm not, you know, it's something that's, I'm not that worried so, you know, explain how there's value is that when the network is much bigger, the native currency of the network should have more value. That's the basic theory there. And it says XLM has the lowest volume. I don't know. Where do you get those statistics? Because I have, in fact, I haven't even looked at this. I have a link to see the stellar transactions per day. Oops, that link doesn't work. Let's try this one. Let's see. Okay. Overall, what is this? Ledger activity. I wish I looked this up. Trades. This is, okay, let me look at this. 1 year. So, you know, they had a high here of, what is this? You know, it looks like they're doing, I don't know, is this per day? Or is this per week? Looks like it's per week. 400,000 transactions per week. Oh, that's not that small. But I don't know. I look at IBM is huge between trying to get banks to use it for settlement and trying to get trading partners to use it for settlement on trades. And they're talking about IBM, and also Jesse Lund also mentioned that, you know, these deals they're doing on supply chain with Walmart and so many, and settlement of payment on you know, trade deals ties in with that as well. So, you know, if you want to ask, you know, what are the top 7 to 8 cryptos and why do they have more value, now you have to come on the show. Which 7 to 8 do you think are going to outperform Stellar? I'd like to know, and then we could talk about it. But, you know, what 5 projects would you like to be? What 5 crypto projects would you like to be actively involved working with? You know, I'm not sure what you're getting at with that question. I am not really looking to work. I've sort of been retired. I mean, retired in that I'm working, I invest, and I'm working to sort of be knowledgeable and change the world, not to make money. And so everything I do, it doesn't feel like a job. I don't know that I want a job. So that's one thing I love about Bitcoin. All you got to do right now is hold. It's easy. There are some tokens where you do make money by working at it, and some of those by working and by participating and helping the network grow. That's how you will earn money. Those are interesting and maybe interesting, and that's growing over time. But I'm not looking for a job. And you know, would you rather be told what to do? Wait a second, I skipped some questions. Have you worked more with women or men? You know, in my company, we were joking at one point, this was years ago, I had like 30 employees maybe, and they weren't employees, contractors for, you know, consistent contractors for like 10 years. And we joked it was like almost all women, except for there were two developers were men, and then one developer was a woman, and then everybody else, it was mostly all females, and we have one guy. Well, never mind. I don't want to. Anyways, I worked with a lot of women, and I don't know what you're getting at or why you're asking me that, but most of the company was women. So, would you rather be told what to do or be the boss? What kind of question is that? Who wants to be told what to do? I guess if you have troubles with confidence, if you're a follower, it can be okay. Just make sure you're following someone who's good. Look at their track record, make sure they're honest, make sure you like them. If you're going to be a follower, make sure you check who you're following. And, it can be okay to be a follower if you're, Steve Jobs' #2 guy. That's cool, right? I mean, if you were somewhat Elon Musk, you're following him all day, that would be great. But if you're following some idiot, being your own boss is cool because you get to sort of be artistic, have your own flavor on things, be more creative. But, if you're not good to follow yourself, you can fail. But you can fail being a follower as well. So I don't know. I've always worked for myself. I've never have been much for wanting a boss by any means. Let's see. And people, I'm looking for questions here. And if you just type, someone types nano. What? It's not a question. I don't know what to do with that. And let's see if anything. Okay, on Instagram here. If anyone asks questions, there's a lot of waving going on. No. Okay, go to YouTube if you want to ask a question. And like I said, let me. Oh my God, I left my screen share on the whole time. So annoying. Why? How do I turn this off? Oh, I know. Sorry. Okay. I know everyone wants to see my face. Okay. Where was I? Let's get back to the questions. Cardano CEO Hoskinson is going around giving speeches wearing the same old jeans. Do you think ADA has a chance? The type of jeans you wear is very important for your project. As I've made videos saying, I think Cardano eventually goes to zero. I don't believe in it. I don't. It's not even decentralized yet. I think by the time they launch, Ethereum will be so far ahead, it'll look like a speck in the rearview mirror. So, how do you select the projects you work in? I have a video. If you go to my channel here on YouTube or davelevine.com, I have a video. I think it's called the filters I use, and that it's a kind of an oldish video, 6 months now, but I still rings true. The main questions for me, and everybody has different ways of investing. There's many ways to make money, believe me, but my way has been, first of all, has it launched? Because I can't analyze white paper and math equations. I need to see it working, and then I can kind of figure out how it's working. Is it decentralized? Because my whole thing, I'm into decentralization in general. That's always where I've made my money. That's where I have insight on decentralized systems. So centralized systems can make a lot of money and have, but that's not my thing. So I like to see, is it decentralized? And third, so now it's up and running, it's decentralized, great. How's the adoption rate? If there's lots of people piling on and the ecosystem is growing rapidly, looks good to me. That is just a bet of, can this pace continue? Or is there anyone else? Is there anyone growing even faster? Right? So those are my questions that I look for. And so I think that answers your question. Where was that? Okay. What do you invest in before crypto? For those who don't know you, what did you invest in? I was always a businessman, entrepreneur. I founded an e-commerce company, 1995. Became one of the largest distributors of adult products on the internet. Sextoy.com. Created one of the first affiliate programs on the internet. Still a big part of the business. I own the business. So I've been sort of developing, launching, and making money on the internet for over 20 years. That's most of my experience. This whole investor thing really only started a couple years ago. And it's sort of a long story, but one of the reasons is I started doing so well with crypto, I said, okay, I'll run with it. So, And by the way, if you have any, you want to do follow-up questions, you can do that. And like I said, if you want to come on the show, I'm going to post the link again. Everybody's too scared to come on the show, huh? Babies, come on. Don't be a chicken. But for bit, you know, and people have said before, I want you to mentor me. I want you to mentor me. Come on, get off your ass. All right. Let's see. Could you tell me the title of the document about fasting you mentioned? You know what I watched on Netflix? It's called Fasting. And I got to tell you, first of all, honestly, the video is kind of boring. I was like, I really want to see it because I want to learn what's going on. But it's a little slow. I had to come, I watched it in 20-minute chunks, came back and such. And then I got a book on Amazon that had like 3,000 positive reviews. That was also good. And what I got from that, it's like 12 hours at a minimum is good. And a 24-hour fast really is just you have dinner and then you don't eat again until dinner. So it's not like you're not actually going 24 hours because you understand what I'm saying? So when I thought of it that way, it's like, and so the other thing, if you want to really just be good, it's sometimes you skip breakfast, right? Right? You know, so anyways, that's that question. What else? Would you rather work for the FBI or NASA? I'm really not interested in working for anybody, especially not the government. I only like to work from home. I've never in my life, well, I shouldn't say never in my life, but since I started my business when I was 26, I have not worked in an office, and I love working from home. If FBI or NASA let me work from home, it's more about the job and who specific, you know, those are huge organizations. What am I working on? Is it interesting? Am I able to sort of do it in my own way and make my own hours and work from home? Then maybe again, how much is it paying? You know, but I'm not really interested otherwise. Remember the time Roger Ver commented on your video? Any time to link up with him, opinion of him. Yeah, Roger Ver is, you know, God bless. And for those who don't know, Roger Ver bought some Bitcoin early. He saw that this thing had potential, and he got in early, made a lot of money with it. But this guy, how can I say this somewhat nicely? Just he has a strategy that is flawed. I think his understanding of the technology is not. I think he's just making a mistake. He's not a dumb guy. You can't just say he's stupid. But he talks too much. He's got some psychological issues, I think, you know, I'm not trying to say like he's a horrible person. I'm just saying some of these issues, I think, make it difficult for him to learn and listen. And he's sold most of his Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash, and I think Bitcoin Cash is going to zero. And my attempts to talk to him, and I've seen him talk to other people. He's crazy. I think there's a debate coming out. Vijay Bopati, who's great, he's got a paper called "The Bullish Case for Bitcoin." What was I going to say? So that guy, Vijay, who's brilliant, is going to debate Roger Ver, supposedly. This will be hilarious. So, you know, I would watch that. I have no interest in talking to Roger Ver. I only want to talk to experts. I only want to talk to people who I think are so fucking smart. And Roger Ver, he's not there. Now, when I say talk to, I mean to learn and listen. If I'm at a party and I see him there, I'm going to be very excited and hang out with him and hope he hasn't watched me say all these things on video. Let's see. I believe Nano is a coin undervalued. Okay, not asking a question, and I'll just tell you, Nano is a brand new friggin' thing that in 5 years, if it's still working and is growing, maybe I would think about it. Everybody looking for the next best thing. Bitcoin's the next best thing, okay? So don't try to get so cute. You know, nobody's even heard of Bitcoin yet. The adoption rate is at 3%, and you want to find, oh, what's going to be the next big thing? Like, come on. Any tips for doing affiliate marketing? you're late, right? I friggin' started it 20 years ago. Now you're starting affiliate marketing. And how are you going to do it? Like, how are you going to get traffic? I don't. If you have an awesome product, it's all about direct marketing. And you got, come up with a video that speaks directly, answers the questions that people have in their head even before before you see them. You already know what they're asking. You answer those questions. You show them you have a solution. You got a deal. You got to act right now. And if you make an amazing video sales letter that goes into a funnel that, and converts and all this stuff, you can make a lot of money. That's how you can make money now on marketing. I don't know how to do any of that. I have a friend who's made hundreds of millions doing it. That ain't my game. But anyways, if you have an awesome funnel that converts, you may be able to make it into turn affiliatize it so that other people can just send traffic to it and you share a percentage with them. But it's all about creating the funnel that really works. That's what's going to make you the money. So, that's what you got to figure out. What do you think about Fidelity digital assets? Fidelity buying Bitcoin for large institutional clients. I think those are buyers that get this market moving up. And there were a lot of other institutions like Fidelity. And once the FOMO kicks in, fear of missing out, last year was FOMO among, individuals, retail investors, and family offices. Wait till you see FOMO with Wall Street banks. It's gonna be crazy. I can't wait. Get your popcorn and put on your seatbelt. Where were you? Where was I? Okay. Do you think it would be possible for a state actor to destroy the BTC ledger by simply pointing overwhelming hash power? And if so, do you think it's accurate to call BTC? No, that's the whole point of Bitcoin. It is not possible to destroy. It's like the internet. Now, there is a theoretical ability to screw with the with Bitcoin if you're able to gain 50% of the computing power. So in other words, there's tens of thousands of computers around the world running Bitcoin. If you control over 50% of them, you might be able to do something. But that's going to cost you a lot of money to destroy something. And what ends up happening too is you go, let's say even if you have that, I'm going to fucking kill Bitcoin. I don't care. I'm going to spend all this money. I'm going to kill it. And then you grow and you get all these servers. You get up to 50%. And then you're like, God, I've got all these servers running. Somehow I'm doing this amazing thing, running 50% of all the servers. Maybe I should just be a fucking miner, right? Maybe I'll just support Bitcoin now that I'm the king of it, right? The king of mining. It sort of co-opts you. And it's really, so it is just, it's not going away. It's like the internet. You can't kill it. If everybody turned off the computer, the internet would be not working, right? But even Bitcoin, you don't even have to go through computers. There's like some satellite now. There's satellites with Bitcoin ledger on it. Like, can't be killed. And last year, around this time last year, Bitcoin, I can't remember exact prices, but it was shooting up to like 4,000 something, and then it plummeted to 3,000 because China was coming after it, kicking out Bitcoin, kicking out the exchanges. Bitcoin's illegal. China's attacking. The U.S. was saying some negative things, and you know what? Bitcoin just said, I don't give a shit, and kept going up. And that was a reminder to me that I don't know, the next time any country says it's going to come after it. Meanwhile, the U.S. has been friendly. The bottom line is the genie's out of the bottle. No looking back. Way back, there was a, in 2010 or 11 or something, there was an issue with Wikipedia. They lost or not Wikipedia. Who's the WikiLeaks? I think it was. I don't know. Sorry, I forget. There was something controversial. And they lost their payment processor, and someone wanted to use Bitcoin, and Satoshi Nakamoto himself, before he had disappeared, said, don't be accepting payments for this thing. It's going to bring too much attention. They didn't want to come and look like a bad guy and get attention of authorities early on. That wait till it's bigger. There was a time when it, could have been destroyed, but now we are past that. It cannot be destroyed, and that is its value. And that's why these new small coins that have a little better technology, it doesn't matter because you can destroy them. And they're far behind. So one thing I've learned from selling sex toys for 20 years and researching cryptocurrency is size matters. Okay, where are we? What is your take on what is your take on stable coins? So first of all, the name will change soon. I'll tell you why, but they are dollar pegged coins. People call them stable coins because on these cryptocurrencies that don't have any fiat currency, you don't have any dollars, don't have any euros, and then just cryptos, and they're all moving around like crazy. People created tokens that are pegged to the dollar so that they could, sort of have something stable to their fiat currency. They started being called stable coins, but they're actually dollar pegged coins. And now Australia is coming out with an Australian pegged coin, somebody in Australia. And so this is getting people to say, well, why are we calling them stable coins? It's really a fiat coin. Or it should just be called, there's dollar pegged coins or USD coins. There's US dollar coins. There'll be an Australian coin. There'll be Euro coins. It's coming. It's all going digital. And for me, I don't know. If I want to hold, I have dollars. And I got E-Trade. I hold dollars. I got Bank of America. I hold dollars. I got my wallet. I have dollars. I mean, my paper wallet, right? I have dollars. Why would I hold dollars on friggin' Coinbase? Or anywhere, or banana. I understand if you're a trader and you're jumping in and out of things, you want to be in it for a little bit. I don't want to. This whole craziness about everyone's all excited talking about stable coins, talking about dollar pegged coins. I don't get it. Why? What do you care? I don't know. I don't really care, but everybody loves talking about it. What else? Have you read the Dave Korolowski Medium article titled "What Stellar Lumens Teaches Us About Token Economics"? No, I haven't. That sounds interesting, I guess. I don't know who he is. Now, I research people. Like, I don't like to read anything or sometimes someone smart recommends something, like my Twitter feed. Whoever those people are recommend, I just read it. But now you're a random YouTube person saying, hey, Joe Schmo says. I would look up, who is Dave Korolowski? What's his experience? What's his history? Do I respect him? If I do, I would read the article, but I haven't. By the way, someone last week mentioned about a book, Life After Google, and I was like, oh, it looks cool. The reason I thought it was cool was I thought it was a Googler talking about what his life is like after leaving Google. That interests me. It's not. It's talking about, the next, Web 3.0 past Google. I care about that. But who's the author? Now, I don't know. I didn't look into it, but I don't know that I even care that much. I love hearing what Googlers think. I'm not that interested in that book, so I ended up not reading it. Should we at least have one Bitcoin? Yes, my portfolio recommendation is at least 50% Bitcoin, and your first purchases should be Bitcoin until you're at 50%. In other words, if you think, oh, I want to have $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency, then I would buy a little bit if you want to have $1,000 of cryptocurrency, I would buy at this point $250 a month for the next 4 months. And your first 2 buys, I would do Bitcoin, and I would do the 250 today. Just do it, and then wait and watch. Maybe we get another downdraft. 6,200 is kind of in the low. Who knows? It could fall and go further. But I would definitely get your 50% Bitcoin first. 50% Bitcoin, and then 25% Ethereum, 25% Stellar Lumens. And if you have 100% Bitcoin, I think you're fine. I think it's going to run first, get your feet wet. Later, you can get into these other things. Yeah. So, sorry, I got lost. Do you have an opinion on China owning most of the Bitcoin mined. What is your source for that? I think this is someone, I don't know if there's Juan, if you posted this also in comments. I saw this post that Bitcoin owns most of the Bitcoin mined. Actually, I don't even know what you're asking. When China emperor decides to seize assets, okay, I don't know. It sounds like you're saying that most Bitcoin owned is in China. China made mining illegal. No, they made exchanges legal. The problem is you can hide Bitcoin on your phone. Like, no one knows if you have Bitcoin. If you mined it, like if you buy it on an exchange, you may have to send money in, and they do know your customer, and you load. For those of you who have bought on a cryptocurrency, if you've gone into Coinbase, they take a video, picture of you and your ID and your face next to your ID, and they, all kinds of information. They can find you, and then you go buy, and they know who you are. But if you mined it on a computer and you just got your Bitcoin, nobody knows who you are. You're just a large key number, right? You have a public key, and that's it. They can't find you, and they can't get it. So stealing, states have had a history when in trouble, they steal to keep themselves solvent. That is true. Bitcoin, though, is tough to steal. That's why it's so valuable. Gold was great because it was scarce and you couldn't print more, but it's easy for this. It was easy for the states to take over it. I don't know if it was that easy, but they certainly took over gold. I don't think they can do this with Bitcoin. So I'm not worried about that. And also, I don't think most Bitcoin is in China anyways. What do you think about the Bitcoin halving? We'll bring, by the way, let's see if there's any questions, just because I saw something pop up here on this Instagram. Oh, what are your thoughts on Stellar competing with Ethereum? Okay, you know what? I'll do an Insta. My boy Leo. Wow. I hate when people do live shows and they start saying hi to everybody, so I'm going to try not to do that. But anyways, what are your thoughts? Okay, I'll do that Instagram question next. So, for those who don't know, Bitcoin is being, every time a block is mined, new Bitcoin is minted, and the amount of Bitcoin that is mined, that is printed, is less and less is being printed over time, until eventually in 100 years there'll be no more Bitcoin to be printed, and it ends at 21 million. So in 2020, the amount of Bitcoin that miners get rewarded for on every block is going to be half of what it is now up until that date. So what do you think is going to happen? Listen, the reality is, because this is also telegraphed, we know exactly how many Bitcoins are going to be mined, printed, and when. And so I don't think there's going to be shocks and huge surprises in the system. The fact is, Bitcoin's supply is tight and will not get looser, and the inflation rate is sort of low and getting lower, the printing rate, and so the longer we go, as more people get in and less new are printed, it's good for the price. But the exact date that the halving happens, I don't think is that significant, because it's too well known. So someone on Instagram says, what are your thoughts on Stellar competing with Ethereum? I do not think that Stellar is competing with Ethereum at all. And Ethereum is a sort of a decentralized application. Sorry. Sort of a decentralized. Hey, dude, let me let me mute you for 1 second, because I heard some. Hey, dude. I muted myself. I lost it. Hey, whoever came on, turn off TVs in the background, okay? And sorry you left. Maybe I scared you away. I ended up muting myself. Okay, what are your thoughts on Stellar competing with Ethereum? So Ethereum is a world computer you can build applications on top of. Stellar is just made as a platform for creating tokens and trading them for like no fees. I mean, I don't know if you want me to get too into it, but the two are very, very different objectives. I don't think they're competing. And also even Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Stellar, those are my three. I don't think they're competing. They're three very different. There's some overlap, and maybe in 30 years, you know, there'll be some competition. But at this point, no. Ethereum has some competition with other platforms that are trying to be platforms for building applications. And Stellar has some competition with Ripple. I don't know if anybody else. And Bitcoin has some tiny competitors who are trying to be a store of value, I guess, but it's like a joke. Anyone who thinks they're competing with Bitcoin. So, all right. What does Stellar earn from the deal between IBM and Walmart Fresh Food? Stellar doesn't earn anything. Stellar is a network that is open and free. It doesn't earn anything. If you're investing in it, you're not buying a security. You're not buying a stock. You're not getting a share of the profits. You are merely owning the native token of the currency, of the network that helps the network function or is needed for the network to function. So IBM brings more activity to Stellar Network. And sorry, I'm getting voicemails here. IBM brings more volume to the Stellar Network, which brings more volume to the Stellar token, and that's the value they bring. But it's not earnings and profits. What are some of your early jobs? Oh my God, I lost where I was. Early jobs. Let's see. You know, I was always wanted to have my own business. That's one thing I got to say. I was lucky. My parents. I gotta turn off this Instagram. It's distracting. My phone. I get phone calls. Thank you for watching on Instagram. If you enjoyed, great. Go to YouTube. Wait a second. Why am I looking at the screen and I still see the share screen going? Oh no. Are you seeing me on YouTube here? Or are you seeing this stupid chart? I'm going to look at the latest comments here. Are you guys still seeing this Stellar chart on YouTube? I guess I could hit reload to see. Yes. How annoying is that? I turned it off. How do I... let's see. Screen share. It says it's off. Ooh. It's back. You know, it's tough running your own show here. You know, I no producer. Okay. Anyways, wow, we got a lot of questions. Well, what time is it? Okay, not even an hour yet. Going all night. Let's see, where was I? And a live video. Share. Okay, get that out of there. All right. What are some of your early jobs? So my parents were always like, you got to have your own business sort of stuff. We never talked about getting a job. It was always going to have your own business. I even remember I used to get mad at my mother because we'd be like, oh, this and that. And, oh, that would be a cool idea if someone did this. And she'd always say, well, why don't you start a business? We used to be like, Ma, can we ever talk about something without you telling us we should start a business? Like, that was always the mentality. Never thought of having. And even if I had a job, it was the idea that it was a stepping stone to getting my own business. So, so I started more businesses, had a paper route when I was little. I sold these watches when I was at University of Michigan watches. I worked for my father, had his own business. I worked there for a couple of years and some summers. I went to New York City. I wanted to get a job like in an investment bank in New York City. Nobody would hire me, but I did work for the government for almost a year. They fired me. That's a funny story. I don't know if anyone wants to hear it, but I worked for the government for a minute. It was worse than you could imagine. And I spoke up about it, and they were like, dude, you can't do that. Anyways, so I think I answered that. How about scheduling? So I do have an event scheduled, in-person event here in Playa Vista, November 15, at 6 o'clock here in Playa Vista. After Halloween, there'll be a link. I know this link. I think it's going to be playavista.events. If you go there, right now there's a Halloween party on that address, but there'll be the cryptocurrency sign up. You have to sign up to get on the list. If you're coming from the channel, let me know. Last time somebody flew from like Seattle or something, and I didn't even know. Someone told me about it later. I'd hate to think that you flew from Seattle and I talked to you for 2 seconds. Like, some people live in town, and I don't know, maybe I don't talk to you. But if you've come in and you're from the show, I'll take some time to make sure, make it worth your while a little bit to fly all the way down. So, or even if you drove, or if you're from the show, let me know. So, yeah, so that's coming. November 15th is the Thursday. Do I dollar cost average monthly? If I want to accumulate, I may, with this MakerDAO that I like, I may dollar cost average in for a few months on that if I keep loving it. I'm also looking the amount of ether locked. That's sort of, I want to see that going up. And if it jumps up a lot, I would grab a little more, assuming the price doesn't jump, but the amount of collateral jump. That's why when I bought it, I liked that the amount of collateral locked up had just jumped, but the price hadn't, right? And then a week later, right after I bought it, it jumped. But anyways, last year, I was dollar cost averaging in. I had a whole plan over so many months. I'm going to put in so much per month, and I wanted 10% of my whole portfolio in life to be crypto. And I was buying in every month, and all of a sudden, everything went up 20x, and now it's 30% of my portfolio. So I'm not really putting new dollars in at this point. But if I'm putting money in, I always dollar cost average, you know, over time, right? And buy when it looks like it's crashing. Let's see here. Is it true in Hollywood parties, rich people have small circle orgy sex party? Have you been to one? I'm not sure that orgy correlates with wealth. In fact, most swinger things are sort of less wealthy people. As far as I have seen, like if you go on a swinger website, even in LA, like most of the parties are like an hour and a half from LA, you know. Anyways, but Hollywood itself, I used to joke, it's a bunch of people who are swingers and they don't know they are. Like, it's pretty crazy. You know what I mean? The girls are making out with each other and everybody's trying to hook up, and you know, it's kind of swingerish, but they don't call themselves swingers. So every Hollywood party is sort of swinger, either swinger wannabe or swinger and they don't know it. I'm not sure that answered your question. And you know, listen, I threw a lot of Hollywood parties, and I'm not going to tell you that something crazy shit didn't ever go down. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I give a mean lap dance. I had a stripper pole in my living room, and after a couple of years, it's pretty good. My line used to be, would you like a lap dance? It's free, but nude is $20. Nobody ever gave me $20, thank God. Have you ever read Poor Charles' Almanac? Yes, Charlie Munger is brilliant. I love to listen to him anytime he talks. Not always right. I don't agree with him on Bitcoin. He's brilliant. He's getting a little older. It's not as exciting as it used to be listening to him. But anyways, Charlie Munger's great. That book was important for me, and sort of talking about how it's important to have knowledge in multiple disciplines. Even if you're in business, it's important to understand physics. Why Elon Musk is great in business, because he has such a deep understanding of physics. He brings that to the business. They say, oh, we can't make the car like that. He's, well, what's the physics behind that says, what's the law in physics that says that's impossible, right? And he knows physics. So, you know, of course, economics, psychology, understanding many disciplines is that, and that's read poor Charles Almanac. Problem is, it's only a big hardcover book that's expensive, but it's a great book to have. You can hand it down to your children, although by then it might not be as relevantly exciting. But okay. Why don't we see anything exciting being launched on Stellar? Projects go to, okay, listen, Morrow, you don't see anything exciting on Stellar. IBM has 97% of all the computers for banks, and they are working actively to move their processes on. Now, I guess you could say, well, it hasn't launched yet. Well, there's a difference between moving, X billion a month of transactions onto Stellar. There's a difference between doing that and launching a dice betting game on EOS, right? And which is going to be around 50 years from now. If a central bank launches its currency on Stellar, how long do you think it'll last? I don't know. The worst currencies, are 10 years, right? So I don't know. We're talking decades. How long will EOS dice betting last? until someone comes up with a better gambling game. Like, I don't agree. What else is going on with Stellar? What was the other? Anyways, I'm sorry to get a little emotional there. And it's Stellar is really about trading tokens, and there's actually a lot going on, but it's sort of a bigger build than launching little games and apps that can launch. Most of the awesome stuff on Ethereum hasn't really launched yet either. MakerDAO, though, I think is pretty cool. It took them, they've been working on that for 4 years. It's just sort of getting going. So we'll see. But I think a lot's going on with Stellar. What's my AM routine? Well, it depends if I have the kids or not. If I have the kids, we get up, we eat some breakfast, we get dressed. We play chase to get dressed quite often. We might watch TV, play a game. You can't imagine the hour before going to school how many things we may build a friggin' Play-Doh castle, make some drawings, and watch half of a movie. And then go to school. And then I drive them to school. If I'm on my own, now I try, have water. First thing in the morning, have some water. I have some coffee. So, and you know what? I don't really have, I have more of my day. If I don't have the kids, I'm in charge of my day. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to work out to the end of the day. Maybe I want to work out toward the beginning. I'm trying to get some sort of workout every day. Yoga, aerobic, or just rolling and stretching or whatever. And then work, I don't know. Sometimes I work in the morning, some in the afternoon. I might have a meeting, I might not. I play it by ear, but I have a things to do list every day. And I plan my things to do list. I always have my things to do list set in the morning as well. Anything else? And my new thing is I try not to eat. I'm probably not going to eat until 11. If I'm with the kids, I might change because it's hard when they're eating. Oh, they eat a croissant and all this fruit, and I'm not supposed to have anything. Forget that. So this dude looks angry. Who, me? You know what? Sometimes I'm not an angry person. Winter Bear. Do I really look angry? I don't know. Sorry. Let's see. That guy. Okay, I'm not reading comments. I'm doing questions. Thank you. How do New York Stock Exchange Fidelity store their Bitcoin? Yeah, they are. I don't think it's published, at least at this point, how they're doing it. But they are buying. If their client buys 100 Bitcoin, they are going to buy and store 100 Bitcoin, and they're taking. Believe me, they are trying their best to be as secure as possible. I don't know what they're doing, but they got smart people working on it. I assume they're, and it's it's not early days, and it's not some crazy, you know, a couple years ago, some of these exchanges were like people just working out of little offices, young people running a business, and they didn't, you know, dot their I's and cross all their T's, and shit happens. Someone breaks in and steals. I think Fidelity, who's been working on this for over a year, they probably have a good solution. I don't know what it is, and maybe someday they'll publish it to give more faith, and they'll probably give some information because people who invest with them are going to want to know, but they may not. They may only reveal it to some customers because they don't want all the competitors to know. I don't know. But at this point, I don't know the technical of it, but they will be holding them somehow. Mostly, you know, sort of an offline cold storage thing. How hard do you think you work? You know, I used to, when you say hard work, I work in that I'm always, you know, I got things I want to get done. I have plans. I have a list. You know, I get shit done in a focused way. So you call that work. Is it hard work? You know, you could say, well, it's hard because I figured out a smart thing to do, and that's hard for people to have smart things to do because they can't figure them out. But when I'm doing it, it's not hard for me to do, right? Is doing this show hard? No, this is fun. But it might be valuable, right? Or figuring out how to lock up Ether as collateral, borrow against it, and buy MakerDAO token. Was that hard? I don't know. I sat at my desk. I had planned and spent the whole morning doing it. I guess you could say that was a little. It's not definitely not fun. The point I'm getting at is some work is just like you got to put your head down and it's a bit painful, and some work is fun. I work a lot. Most of my work now is fun. I used to do a lot more hard work, grunt work, like figuring out the inventory system and counting these things and putting things together and analyzing numbers. That's just one of those things like, oh, I don't want to do it. Just, I got to get it done. Put your head down and get it done. I used to do a lot of that. But now I'm fortunate in that I don't have to, and the stuff like that that has to get done, I could hire people, and I'm also at a different, I don't know. So do I work hard? A lot of people are like, what do you do all day? I'm sort of retired now. I'm living the dream, baby. I'm mostly just, you know, following my passions. But I'll work on this. I'm making a course for kids to learn about money. You know, is that hard work? I love it. I'm having fun, but I can't do it for too long. After 2 hours sitting in front of the thing and trying to figure out how to explain a part of how money works simple enough that a third grader could understand, you know, I get tired and then I walk away. But I have no deadline. It's my own thing. I enjoy it. Is that hard? I don't know. Okay, is this a question? A whole new, okay, that's not a question. Oops, what happened? I just lost my place. Boy, a lot of questions. Love it. Hope I can make it. What time is it? Okay, we've gone an hour. That's not bad. We got our viewers are hanging in there. Thank you. And by the way, I may want to do a show at like 9 a.m. Pacific time so that European people can see it. Who cares? Anyone? Would you, or if you're watching now, would you also watch it at 9 a.m.? Or, and the question is live. And also, if I post these later, you can always watch the things later. So, where was, sometimes the questions jump and then I lost. Is that, okay, here I am. What was the most difficult paycheck? That's a very job-to-job kind of question, like a paycheck. I own my business for over 20 years. I got paid when the company made profits, and if we didn't make profit, and it was profitable almost always. So I got paid. You know, was it difficult? I don't know that there was any one thing. There's no one week. There's no one job that mattered so much. So there's really no one paycheck that was difficult. Unless, you know, what was the most difficult thing I did to make money? You know, the reality is the stuff that makes money is the things that are the best idea, and sometimes those are fun and sort of go quickly. The stuff that doesn't make money is what's difficult because you start it. I once tried to have an auction site for toys way back. I saw I was going in with eBay. I'm like, oh, I can do that. And they weren't allowing toys on eBay. So I said, oh, this is great. I'm going to do it. Couldn't get any traction. The technology was pretty tricky for whatever reason. We couldn't seem to get it right. And then, you know, did it and saw it was wrong and then relaunched it and then tried again. And then I was like, and just nothing was working and I'm spending money and let's redo this again. And like, never worked. Eventually I just closed it. That's difficult because it's not fucking fun, right? I mean, there's other things I've done. Created an affiliate. When I created the affiliate program, I could say that was really hard. But before I even launched, people are calling me. As soon as the day I launched the thing, I must have had 11 people sign up and start sending sales that day. That makes my hard work feel okay. It's sort of like doing this video. If I did this video for 2 hours and there was no one here watching, I'd be like, well, what's the point? It's not fun. You know, then it's work to sit here and talk to nobody for 2 hours. But I got people listening. People care. Great. So it's fun. So, okay. There's a launch of USD on. There's a launch of USDC on Coinbase. There's dollar tokens. Dollars are going to be all over the crypto sphere. In the crypto world, dollars will be there in token form so they can be zipped around. And apparently there's going to be a lot of different competitors. There's already, well, there's one at least on Stellar. IBM has Stronghold. It's US dollar peg coin. And they want to have a lot more. And that's one of the things IBM is trying to help countries launch their own, you know, own currency coins on there. So Coinbase, is Coinbase a competitor to Stellar? I don't think so. I don't even know what Coinbase is trying to do in general. You know, they're doing a lot of weird things that must be connected. They have a vision there. I'm not sure I know what the vision is. And I don't know how it'll work. And I don't have to worry about it because I'm not getting any equity in Coinbase. No one's, you know, there's no Coinbase token that I can invest in. That's old school. You know, the old school investing is, you know, they have the venture capital and then the private equity and then, you know, friends and family and then IPO, who are the, you know, that's the best customers. And then I can invest. So in 5 more years, I'll be able to own Coinbase. But now, this is why I like with Bitcoin, I'm in before the New York Stock Exchange. That's what I like. Okay, anyways, I don't think, and you know, this question, Coinbase is not trying to do cross-border payments. You know, internet and the cryptocurrencies is cross-border by definition. But IBM is actually taking real large corporations who are already trading with other corporations in other countries where the contracts can now be digitized on the blockchain, and the payment, which now takes a week, and it's difficult when it's weird currency trading. You know, it's like if you want to trade Brazil, the Brazilian real with the Lithuanian or with the Korean won, it's probably hard to get that trade going. So Stellar solves that problem with IBM, and that's what they're working on. And Coinbase, I don't think is working on that. My video on YouTube looks like it's frozen. Let me know. Do you guys see this as frozen? Am I frozen? Uh-oh. Type in a question. Maybe I'll reload this thing just to see. And all good now. Okay. It was frozen. And the image of my face that is frozen is just hilarious. Okay. Wow, a lot of questions here. Anyone ask you about favorite privacy coins? I don't care about privacy coins. I think privacy is coming to Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Stellar. And I picked the winning platform, not some new coin. If you want a coin, it's Bitcoin. If you want a platform, you know, Ethereum and Stellar. And privacy is coming to them. So these privacy coins now are a niche, but I think they lose to the big winners. Yeah, you have to try to get fired from the government, as somebody said. I'm going to reload this so I don't have to look at my frozen face anymore. Okay. Yeah, you do. It is hard to get fired from the government, and that is a funny story. You know, if someone comes on the show, no, I don't know. Do you want to hear that whole story? You'll have to ask specifically. You want to hear why I was fired from the government. If you ask, I'll tell you. Let's see. No, the snapshot, when Cosmos launches, they're going to give free tokens to everybody who owns Ethereum based on how much Ethereum you own. That has not happened yet. This Cosmos is behind schedule. I don't know when this is going to happen. It was supposed to happen a while ago. They're working on it. I think it's coming, but it's going slow. I don't know if that's a bad sign for the project, but it hasn't happened yet. What occupation? You don't, when you're trying to make money, don't think about a job or career. You think about, what are you an expert at? Or what problem are you solving? The bigger problem you solve, the more money you make. If you're an expert in something that people need help with, you will make money, right? So your question should be, you know, what will be the most valuable expert in 50 years, or what problem will need to be solved in 50 years? Listen, if you can think 5 or 10 years down, you're amazing and smart. To be able to see 5 or 10 years out is a dream. 50 years, I don't know, you know. But what do people not know anything about right now that is growing a lot? Cryptocurrency. So people who are experts in cryptocurrency will probably be making a lot of money in 5 years. I don't know what the hell is going to be happening in 50 years, and I won't even be alive, right? Or maybe if I can live to 120. Sorry, 50 years. No, that's 100. How old do I think I am? At 100 years old, maybe I'll be alive. Okay. How does trade volume relate to price or adoption? Trade volume over Stellar is volume on the network. Every trade on network involves Stellar's native token, at least as a utility token for the trade. That's just a tiny amount. But I think, too, if you're doing a lot of business over the network, there will probably be, there's probably going to be some equation someday that if you use the network, and you do, let's say you do $1 billion of volume a month on Stellar Network in dollars or in your own currency, there'll be some percentage of that, maybe 5%, maybe 10%, that you hold in the native currency. There's a few different reasons why you would, and we'll see. That is the risk. That's what people will say for these utility tokens. They have zero value because people will only hold it for the 1 second of the trade and then they get rid of it. That's the very bear case for Stellar or any utility coin. I don't think that is going to happen. That can be an issue, and we'll see. At this point, it's early enough. So I just want to see volume growing. I think that people will hold the lumens. At least at this point, I'm not that worried about it. And by the way, Adam Ludwin of Interstellar, CEO of Interstellar, said exactly that companies are holding a percentage in Stellar Lumen. So that theory so far seems to be true. And also Chris Bernsky, who wrote the book Crypto Assets. By the way, great book, Crypto Assets, an innovative investor's guide to crypto assets. Chris Bernsky, he also says that utility tokens on a good and growing network will have value. Have you looked into holochain? I'm done at looking at every new thing. Now, some of I look at it like this. If, you know, there's new bands coming up all the time. And if you go to every little club and look at every little band, you may spot a good up-and-coming band before it happens. I'm just tired of going to clubs. So I'm not interested in studying every new little one. Now, that doesn't mean that holochain could be that one band that makes it. And oh, if I only went, whatever. You know, I've got my band. I've got my, Rihanna, and who the hell's popular now? I got my David Guetta and my whatever. I've got my 3 bands that I'm invested in, and they're cranking out tunes, and I just watch them. I'm paying very close attention to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Stellar, and I'm not worried about every new stupid coin. Holochain, it sounds familiar, so I probably looked at it and hated it for some reason, but I don't know. I'm done with all these new things. And no offense, and if anybody's researching all these new things, to me too, if I felt like other coins were going to really get a bigger market share than Bitcoin, I think for now Bitcoin continues to gain market share. If I thought that was going to reverse again like it was last year, I would get a fund like Abra has this fund. I think they call it Bit10 or something. That sort of will do better than Bitcoin if cryptocurrency, other crypto coins in general do better than Bitcoin. So that would be something I would hold if I thought that was going to happen. Right now, I think Bitcoin beats everybody. What is your price prediction in 5 years? I don't have a price prediction. What I do know is that the current financial stack, if you call it that, which is, the current thing is you got the central bank and the government, treasury bonds and reserve notes are the base layer. They give those to banks or loan them to banks who could then loan to individuals, and applications are written to communicate with the bank. That's the stack of the money. There's a new money stack being built on Bitcoin and or Ethereum and Stellar. Who knows who's going to win, who's going to be the biggest. But what I know is that the current financial money stack is whatever, 90 trillion, 100 trillion, pick your T-rillion number. And the current cryptocurrency market is like, what is it, 100 and something billion? It's going to get a lot bigger because there's a new money stack, and it's going to replace the old one. Now, I'll be wrong if it takes 20 years. Bitcoin's already been 10 years, right? If it takes, it's going to happen eventually. But I've learned that being right in the long run might not be good if the long run is 50 years, right? I mean, if you're right in 20 years, but wrong for the first 10 of them, those first 10 years are pretty long, and you're pretty much wrong for them. So, it's going to be many, many trillions higher. The question is, which crypto assets grab that? I think Bitcoin does. I think it goes a lot higher, but price predictions. Listen, I think I'm really cool because I make a crazy prediction that Bitcoin hit its low in June, and the next parabolic move, which starts within 6 months, will eventually shoot up to like 100,000 and higher, and then crash to 50. That's my prediction. That's just the next parabolic move. Bitcoin has had 6 parabolic moves in its history, followed by a crash and then a boring period. And each peak and each boring period are a magnitude higher than the previous. That means 10x or more higher. I think there will be a couple more in Bitcoin, and others may have several. I don't know, but it's more about being right or wrong. Because if we're right, it goes up a lot. If Bitcoin captures some of this value, it's going to go up a lot. If we're wrong and it's a different coin, then something else will go up a lot, right? What gender do you think make better bosses? I think that bosses are good if they are experts at what they do and they have good social skills. And I've seen people who are really smart people and can work well on their own, but don't have good social skills and emotional intelligence, and then they can't lead a team. So I think it's emotional intelligence combined with sort of an expert in the area they're working in. Whether it's male or female, I don't think it matters if someone's male or female. What does that matter? What's the best mobile wallet? I never have any cryptocurrency touch a phone. I don't know why anybody would want to do that. If I'm buying, I go on an exchange, I buy it, and I download it to my hardware wallet, and I store it away. People out there on their phone trading. Silliness. You're going to lose all your money. Do you think it's significant that EOS dApps have more daily users than Ethereum dApps? There's nothing huge. We're talking about very small numbers here. So the killer app hasn't happened yet. EOS could have 20 small ones, and Ethereum comes out with a huge one that's popular, and then that all bets are off. I think it shows me that EOS is something that's not going away right away because it has activity and things happening. It's nothing that exciting or world-changing yet. Maybe it will. But, you know, this whole thing with transactions and users, you know, like I said, I like MakerDAO. There's been, I don't know how many, let me just quickly look at this website to see how many millions of dollars has been locked up in MakerDAO. 1 second. Locked collateral. Sorry, it's a little slow. But anyway, so for example, with this MakerDAO, there is right now 900,000. So let's say 1 million Bitcoins, Ethereum locked up, and it's worth 200. So let's say it's $200 million locked as collateral in MakerDAO. That's not a lot of transactions every day or users every day, but that's a huge amount of value. That's already a decent sized bank. And with making loans. And what's the total? 66 million DAI created, 66 million in loans. That's a pretty big dApp. No, it's not a lot of users fucking betting on dice all day. But I'd rather see one MakerDAO than a bunch of gambling games. Granted, I think there's going to be some huge gambling pyramid scheme video game manias that happen. And that will be a lot of activity and value for the people who like to waste their time and money on that shit. But so some of those stats are, you know, sort of missing the point. It's similar to sort of Bitcoin. It's like, well, no, no, I'm not using Bitcoin. Well, actually, I'm using it because I have a fair amount of money locked in it. So I have to put my money somewhere, and I'm using Bitcoin as a place to put it. Now, I'm not doing transactions every day, but I'm using it. It's part of my life here, right? I mean, when I think about my savings and my portfolio, I have that there. So, you know, just using something that's not the only statistic. What's your child bedroom like? I don't know. Yeah, I had a bed. I had bureaus. I had, I'm going to ask a poll here because one thing I've noticed, a lot of questions from Rafe West, which I enjoy. They're sort of off-topic, funny, personal questions. Strokes my ego that somebody would care what my childhood bedroom looks like. But maybe nobody else cares. And you're like, why the fuck is he talking about that? Go through, look at Rafe West's questions, and I'd love a quick poll. People tell me you like his questions, and you don't have to like them all. Like, keep in mind, if someone's going to ask 10 questions, if 7 are good, that's pretty good, right? So don't just get mad if one of his questions is horrible. Do you like the fact that this guy asks a ton of questions or not? If everybody hates it, maybe I won't answer all of his, or maybe I'll make you submit them ahead of time, Rafe. But for now, I'm enjoying it. I'm just checking on my viewers here. You know, I had a bedroom with a desk, bureaus for my clothes, a bed, 2 windows, and a picture of Jim Rice, the baseball player from the Red Sox, from Boston. Go Sox. In Beverly Hills, if you try straight up to approach movie stars or sports stars, beg for money. I heard people go and ask for money. If you ask people for money or jobs, you will never get one. Well, if you ask for money, you'll never get it. If you ask for a job, you might get it, but you will only get it if you are an expert at the job and it's something people need and there's not already a million people doing it. You may be awesome. If you Whole Foods and they need a cashier, you might be like, oh, I could do that. I'd be awesome at that. Yeah, well, so would a million other people. So, are you an expert and really could be good at something or are good at something, then people will hire you. But movie stars, they don't even hire people. Maybe an assistant. And is that what you want to be, an assistant to a movie star? That's a shit job, I'll tell you that. I mean, some maybe are good, but those are the people I heard doing that job. It's a tough business. Tough. So, no, don't go and whatever. It says beg for money. That is a bad. Who do you see begging for money? The people on the side of the street with the sign, right? Do any of them look wealthy? No, it's not a good business. Do you think Litecoin will be one? I think Litecoin is useless. I don't see the value at all. I hate to say it'll go to zero because it's been around for so long, but I don't think it's any. I don't know what percentage of value it is to Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will grow faster than Litecoin. And I saw a statistic. Now I saw something else that there is activity with Litecoin, so I don't know. But I saw some other statistic that the activity, the GitHub activity, that is people posting software updates on GitHub for Litecoin just completely stopped months ago. Like there's no activity of people aren't even working on it anymore. But I saw something else that sort of implied people are working on it. So I don't know. But what is the point of it? Like it's sort of like if you believe it's silver to Bitcoin, to gold, like if Bitcoin is gold, Litecoin is silver. Well, gold became money and silver didn't. And why would you want the one that sells for $14 versus the one that sells for 1,000, whatever gold sells for, 1,200, right? Just buy Bitcoin, please. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do, but compared to those two, this is what I'm doing, right? This grass-fed butter, I don't, I'll tell you what, there is something, I mean, I like eating whole foods in that real foods, non-processed. Butter is relatively non-processed. Coffee seems to be good for you. Coffee doesn't interfere with your fast, but butter, calories, does. So listen, if you eat a bunch of butter, fine. I had some broccoli today. I put some butter on it. It's just part of the calorie mix, and I try to eat whole foods. Broccoli and butter are both whole foods. Do I want to put the butter, instead of putting it in the broccoli, put it in my coffee? Well, first of all, I don't, because then I'm breaking my fast with my coffee. I like to have the coffee in the morning, and I haven't broken my fast. Now, maybe later in the day, I want to break my fast. I want to have coffee, and I put butter in it. Why? I'd rather put butter on my vegetables, right? Or maybe I have some bread with butter. That's my version of cake. I'm trying not to eat any carbs. I'm super clean right now because I got like off track and I was eating tons of shit. And when I say shit, I mean bread and pasta and pizza with the kids. My God, kids love pizza and pasta, and it's so easy, and they love it, and they're kids, and they can handle it. And the ice cream, and we go to birthday parties, and I just eat, fucking fruit roll up, and all their snacks. So, anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, so that's like a kind of a gimmick. People love coming up with gimmicks. If you eat this food and this food, it's magic. I have a saying. All food is bad for you. Food is a drug. Just try to get your nutrition as efficiently. The goal is really to get your nutrition with eating sort of within the shortest amount of time and the least amount of calories. But also, the body's very good at dealing. No matter what, if you eat perfectly, for those, you eat perfectly, you're still going to take a shit because most of it is just garbage, right? And it comes out. So there's no such thing as perfect, and it doesn't matter. The body's good at getting rid of waste, and so you don't have to overthink it. There's no magic food for breakfast or lunch or dinner. And butter is butter no matter when and where you eat it. Do you need software engineering talent in your pursuit to bring more money education to children? Oh, it may be somebody saying, well, hey, I'm a software engineer. Do you need my help because you want to help me? I don't know. Listen, I'm going to be, hopefully this channel keeps going. I'll keep you posted on progress, and when I need help, I'll let you know. You know, I will keep you posted. Health fasts don't affect the intermittent XML. I already had my, someone says, how do you want to get your 15 minutes of fame? Or did you already? I did already. For those of you who don't know, I shouldn't even say because it's embarrassing, but I was on season 1 and season 2 of Millionaire Matchmaker. The most watched character ever on Millionaire Matchmaker, partly because I was season 1, episode 1, and they showed reruns forever. And then I was on season 2, and they used to have, and my name on the show was Sex Toy Dave, and they did reruns every year for 7 years. And people, you know, the first year they were so excited to have me because like everybody did just real estate. Everybody was real estate, real estate, real estate. And they had me, it was sex toys. They were like, oh my God, this is great. So they kept playing it. When I look back at it, it's painful to watch. I'm like, oh, what a douchebag. But anyways, for a minute, one summer, I was on Millionaire Matchmaker season 2. And then I was on this VH1 show, which got canceled. That's another story. And I was also on Joan Rivers had this little thing. How'd you get so rich? And I was on. So there was a summer where I was literally on 3 channels at the same time. I was like, people were recognizing me. I was driving down the street, and like on the highway, and people would be like, you know, it was crazy. And then it went away. But throwing parties in Hollywood while you're on 3 TV shows, it was pretty 15 minutes. I had my 15 minutes. Might have even been 18 minutes. Gotta tell you. Also, it was funny too when I went back to Boston, where I'm from, and we went out and like it was so it was literally I felt like I was Brad Pitt. Like everybody was like, oh my God, like crowding around me. It was such an ego boost. Then I came back to LA and I went to some club. And my ego's like, oh, I'm so big, you know. I go to some club and like, you can't get in. I'm like, wait a second. I was just famous yesterday. You gotta let me in. Okay. What's next? Okay. So Jacob Butcher says you're an elementary teacher and want to talk about how to teach kids about money. So one of my things I say, oh, you know, I only want people who are experts. First of all, you may be an expert. Great. Then I could have you on the show, especially if we're talking about that on the show, or we could talk. But here's the thing. Contact me separately. I'll give out my email. I don't care. Dave@davelevine.com. Email me what you have. If you have some proprietary stuff and you don't want to share what you've been teaching, I don't know how you must have something that's public because you've been teaching it. Show me what you have, and we'll talk. I'm looking for any help. What do you ask exactly? And you've had some success. I'd like to share with you. I mean, I'm looking at everything that's already been done, so I'd love to see what you've done. If you don't mind me poaching, I'm not copying anything, but sometimes I see something, oh, that's good to add. And you know, I don't know if this is like a competitive business for you and then you don't want to share. But feel free to email me with whatever you want to talk about or whatever, and we'll see what happens. Do you think having more than one woman is a good idea? So, first of all, I always say, you know, only talk to experts. I'm not an well, it depends what you want. What are you trying to do? If you want to get married, first of all, I'm not an expert. I got married and divorced, so you know something's wrong there. I'm not an expert in having a good marriage, right? As far as dating multiple women, I used to be an expert in that, but I thought that was, you know, what I was doing was going to lead to a good marriage. So the whole thing is a little bit like, well, what the fuck's the point? Now, if you just want the fun of getting that joy of having different women like love you for a minute, then what is your question? You know, in hindsight, I would say that what is most important, whether it's friends or certainly anybody you date, to have a connection in that you are able to be honest. You know, these two separate worlds, like you talk to your friends one way and your girlfriend another way. No, like you're honest, you're yourself, and you can say anything and be yourself. That is the most important thing. And I don't know, maybe it's like, you know, everybody sort of molds a little bit with somebody, I guess. And I don't know, like, again, I'm not an expert in that area, but looking back, that's the most important thing, because if you change who you are in order to accommodate a relationship, you may have a good relationship, but it's not with you. It's with someone you're pretending you are. And if you can't be yourself, in the long run, that's a problem. So that's the most important thing. And so then when you have a good connection and you're honest in yourself, and then when you want to get close to that person, it sort of works. If it's one of these things, you just meet somebody and she's hot and you're just like, you know, trying to, you know, whatever, have sex, and both of you aren't really worried. It's just I used to look back. To me, I look back and think, guys have a problem with the friggin' hormones. You're thinking way too much about sex. Listen, nothing against sex by any means, but in the long run, this connection thing is more important. So the bottom line is, you know, it would be better to have a really strong connection with one person. And if she's into adventure, now most people would say this doesn't work. And again, I'm not an expert. I don't know if it works. But if you were with someone, you had that awesome connection, could you then venture out and have extracurricular sort of openly and together or separately? I don't know. Maybe. But that one connection is probably most important. Where the hell was I? Wow, a lot of questions here. Should I just keep going? What time is it? I guess so. I think last time we sort of ran out of questions, but I don't know if I can get through all these. Wow. I'm honored. I love that people care. Granted, half of them were from Rafe West. No offense to pick on you, sir, but you know. Wait a second. Did I skip some questions? Because now I see these. Oh, shoot. I missed a bunch of questions. Now I'm completely lost. Was I at the end? I'm lost. Where the hell are we? No. Okay, here. Sorry. Okay, now I know where we are. Okay, here. Yeah, okay, sorry. What would you do with 100,000? Honestly, I'm 50. My business did over 150 million in revenue. I've got savings. I've owned homes. At this point, 100,000. No offense, it's just whatever. You mean what would I do? New investment? I don't know. I'm sort of, you know, if I suddenly got, I don't know. If I got 100,000, I'd probably just let it sit in cash right now until I figured out what to do. And I'd start dollar cost averaging in. The stock market's going down. I'm feeling like it's, you know, the credit cycle. So I'm not buying more there. I feel like I got enough Bitcoin. I'd probably just hold cash right now because I don't know I don't need more crypto. I could throw it, pay down my house a little more. But right now, I feel like things are going down. I'd hold cash. What's the easiest money I've ever made? This was kind of funny. Another Rafe West, but okay. Girls Gone Wild calls me up, and they're like, we want to buy leads from you. It was like people who said they agreed to get sent emails or something from me. And we had in the terms and conditions, it was okay that I could sell these names if they had checked something off. And they said they were paying like $1 or like some crazy amount per email. And I was like, there's no way you're going to get a return on that. And I had so many orders a day. They were sending me checks for like, I don't know, it was like probably, it was maybe 3 months. They might have sent me, they sent me thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And then they call me up and they go, oh yeah, we're not getting a return on that. I'm like, no shit. Someone made a mistake there. It was crazy. I mean, it was so stupid. But again, that is a point that I make in reference to, although I made maybe tens of thousands of dollars quick and easy and stupid, the money that I really made was from things that lasted for 10 years. That made a lot for 3 months. Had it continued for 10 years, would have been a crazy amount of money, but it was only 3 months. The affiliate program has lasted for 20 years, has made me infinitely more than that quick hit. And any quick hits I had do not add up to relationships over 10 years with distributors or affiliates who send sales and business and that do distributing for me at a low cost. It's the long-term game is what matters. If you ever considered running a mining operation? Mining is, I didn't know about Bitcoin early enough. And now it's big. Now there's big players who've been doing it for 10 years. I don't want to compete with big players who have been doing it for 10 years. I would not do anything. I like to get in stuff early. I like being first on things. When I was selling my, sex toys on the internet, no one was selling anything on the internet, let alone sex toys. So I had no competition for a while. That's what I like. I don't get into competitive shit. What's going on with Omisego? I don't know. I haven't been able to get that meeting going. They're working on things. I have no idea what we will ever see from Omisego. Seems to be a great group of people. Seem to be smart. People who, like to work with them and like, it's for real, but they could just be too slow, or maybe when they eventually ever launch, it doesn't have, no one gets on. I hate things that take so long to launch, or I don't like investing in things until it's launched. And I made the mistake of buying a little bit of Omisego before it launched, and now, and I don't know. I don't get more information. I don't know. Annoying. Dave is the coolest. I only do questions, but this one I'll read. I'll take some bong hits and listen to him all day. Thank you. Telegram. I don't know what even Telegram is building. They raised a lot of money. I have no idea what they're building. And I've got my money on Ethereum. If someone is catching Ethereum, I'm sure I'll hear about it, and then I'll study. Right now, everybody else is so far behind Ethereum. Now, EOS, people say, for what I don't see EOS right now, and it's not proven, but still, I'm keeping my eye on it, right? I'm like, in other words, I'm not going to dig into every stupid thing. If Telegram starts coming up, then I'll study it. But I have no clue what they're doing, and I don't care. I'm not going to look at it until I see something happening and I see them as a potential threat. Like EOS, we see things happening. I looked into it. I'm not worried about it. They may do well. Maybe I'll wish I had bought the token. But right now, I don't think it's a threat to Ethereum at this point. In other words, maybe they'll both do well, as far as I can see. Or maybe just Ethereum will do well. But I don't have to sell my Ethereum. That's all I know. It says that they already have a lot of users in network effect. Oh, no, well, Telegram is a communications platform that's great. But what are they? That's not competing with Ethereum. Simplest secret of success in the work world. I don't even know if it's a secret. I think here's the thing, and I've already said it 3 times here, and I knew about this a long time ago. Tony Robbins used to talk about it 20 years ago, and the problem is you listen to him and you hear it and you agree, but you don't understand how aggressive to get on it, which is only, you probably already know what I'm going to say, only listen to experts. That means, and that goes deeper than you think in 2 directions. Number 1 is listening to someone who is not an expert influences you, whether you realize it or not, and you're actually hurting yourself. When you read the news, you're often hurting yourself, right? If you watch CNBC, You're hurting because you're listening and you're acting as if they're experts. Plus, you're wasting your time by not listening to experts. Now, some experts go on CNBC. I just mean most journalists, they're talking about, if a journalist talks about Ethereum, they don't know what they're talking about. Now, some people do. So one thing is the distraction of listening to people who aren't experts. And the other is only listen. We say listen to experts, like literally the top of the top, and find them and ask them questions and read their book. Like, and let that shape what you know and become an expert. And the other thing, so that's with business, it's you get paid for being an expert. Everybody's trying to create shit, right? The economy is you pick a focus and you produce something that people need. And you're going to be the best at it. How are you going to be the best at it? You're an expert. And then the other thing is, well, what do you make? What problem are you solving? Don't think, what title do I want to have? What job and what career? What problem are you solving? And then become an expert at solving it. All it is. And I guess the last thing I would say too is write shit down all the time. There's a huge difference between the idea in your head and when you actually write it out in words. You can type, you can write with a pen, that doesn't matter. But putting it in words communicates to the rest of your brain, gets you focused. And then you can use that as a record. Oh, I'm going to work on this. And then you go work. And you come back and say, oh, I said I was going to do this. Did I do it? Write shit out. What point do you see thousands of altcoin interest collapsing? Already things collapse. What happens is you lose interest. Like, I think it's 70% of all ICOs already are closed. But no one, you don't think that's happening. Because they don't talk about that in the news, right? And nobody cares. It's when coins die, they fall from the top group, and they sit in the low group, and then they drift off to nowhere, and you don't know about them, right? So already that hundreds of tokens have already gone to oblivion, and others will continue to, and the tokens that ran up in 2014, I don't know what all of those are, but probably 70% of those are gone, right? But then there's new ones that come up and get hot. So it's just, it's not going to happen all at once. And it's not like it's noticeable. And it's not the ones that everyone's talking about that go down. Because if everyone's talking about it, by definition, there's hype and people are buying and owning and trading and betting and arguing. But it's when nobody's talking about it is when it goes to zero, right? Do you think the demise of humans by AI? I don't believe that there will be a demise of humans. I think that like in the human body, which is very resilient, we get sick and there were viruses, and just on the computer networks, there will be viruses and sicknesses, so to speak, and problems, but it won't destroy. And then to me, okay, this is, I don't think I've ever mentioned my philosophy on this. It's sort of new, which is that I think that the machines are a new species being built on top of humans. So just as, in our belly, we have single cell life. That was the earliest creatures on planet Earth are part of us, like they're in your belly or wherever they are. And then part of us are from other animals, and we always get built on top of each other. Now, granted, humans did wipe out all of the large beasts on the planet, and so maybe you would think similarly. So I think that the machines will be born of humans, and they will learn, just as we have learned, that life is good, and we want to promote life. We want to reverse entropy. That's all we want to do, is reverse entropy all day long. If you want to know what the hell that means, you could ask a question. What does it mean to reverse entropy? Or look it up on the internet. But anyways, I think machines will mostly be there to help us, and then eventually our new species will launch off into space. Because listen, humans aren't going to fucking travel the speed of light and go to other planets. How the hell is that going to happen? Maybe, you know, Elon and Mars and Moon and whatever. But, you know, the machines will take the long journeys to other planets and, in a sense, be alive. If life is the reversing of entropy, a system that is able to reverse entropy for an extended period of time, then machines become life. And it is a new life form that will be an extension of humans and eventually break off on their own. I find it unlikely that because they are our offspring, that they will then go and destroy us. Okay. How long have we gone here? Okay. Almost 2 hours. At what point do you see that? No, we did that. Favorite books on Bitcoin. I have on my channel, you can see I have one little category on books. I would look at that because actually I give a description of the books and why to read it and what about it. And I recommend a few books. But if I have to recommend one, I would say The Bitcoin Standard by Staffadina Mos. That's great. That's a great book. But there are others. I mentioned Crypto Assets. There's others. Go to my channel, scroll down, you'll see a thing, book recommendations, and check those out. You can watch my videos first talking about it so you know what you're getting into, and it might help the read. Do you think, how could Bitcoin be the store of value? It would use so much electricity. Well, first of all, how much the existing banking system, how much electricity does it take to run all of the existing banking system? And eventually, couldn't we just have solar panels? It's not about using energy. It's about using renewable energy. We're using renewable energy if it's, comes from the sun, whatever. Theoretically, it could all come from the sun. And then what's the big deal, right? So that's one of these things that's really not right. It's so small right now. There's so many bigger energy problems. I'm more interested in Elon Musk's vision coming true to make a dent on the use of fossil fuels. But in the long run, I think we could handle Bitcoin. And the amount, if you read the Bitcoin Standard, or what I believe with economics, it is so important to have sound money. It will unleash the productive power. All production in the economy is based on the pricing system. The pricing system is what we use to determine what to produce that's best for society. Having a sound money, unmanipulated prices, manipulating the interest rate, the credit cycle, the boom and bust are caused by our existing system. It is inherently unstable. I don't know if you want me to get into all that, but I think Bitcoin, the benefits from it also will greatly outweigh. And I don't think it's going to be it's not going to be a coal creating all of the Bitcoins. So I'm not worried about it today, for sure. Do newscasters, the problem with newscasters is, first of all, a lot of them, they're not experts. And the other is they got a job to do, and there's clickbait. I just saw yesterday, Tesla, top stories, Google. It says Tesla raises prices on the Model 3. So first of all, for whatever reason, people like Elon Musk, the Tesla earnings came out and were so great. It was just like such an amazing report. And I looked at the comments below, whatever I read. Every single, it's fake, it's lying, and everybody like hates fucking Tesla. And they love to read about bad stuff. So that story, that's clickbait. Like, oh, Tesla's raising prices, that's bad, they're supposed to be lowering. Well, the real story, they have the Model 3 and they had one version, it was at $60,000. And like a week ago, they made a new version available at $45,000. So the price dropped by $20,000. That's the story. I didn't see much about it, but that was the story. But then they dropped it to 45, and for some reason, then they raised it to 46. Why? But anyways, they did. And that's the story on Google. They're raising prices. It's dishonest or it's stupid. My guess is it's just clickbait. Do you think can Bitcoin go to 0 if every single person, right? So New York Stock Exchange says they're going to start buying. All the big institutions say they're going to start buying. People are hodling. Everybody's talking about, not everybody, but it's a thing. Every single person would have to stop working on it and just go. It would go away. It's like, could the internet go away? I guess if everybody stopped using the internet, it would be gone, right? But just that's not happening. Listen, maybe it's not going to go up. Maybe it trends down for a while. It's not going to 0 anytime soon. We would have to have nobody talking about it for a long time. What's your opinion on the war of drugs? I think I'm getting tired. And Rafe, I'm going to skip you for one. I don't even know where to begin with that. Why isn't John McAfee? He's, you know, if you read about his history, he's a little, he's crazy with like, he's got like conspiracy theories, and he's done it. You know what? It's more of the sketchy. I don't like people who are sketchy. He was taking money to promote coins and like promoting them and trying to tell people to buy them because they paid him to. Yeah, and he's got a lot of money. Hey, maybe, hey, some poor kid's like needs a buck and whatever. I could maybe. No, it's just that, and then I don't know. There were a few things. Just he's sort of sketchy. I mean, he's done well. You could say he is an expert, but I don't know. Guy rubs me the wrong way. I can't remember, but I just said I'm not listening to this guy. I think it was because he would speak. I guess that was it. Really, is if nothing else, he would promote shit because he got paid. So I want to listen to someone who is, if he's an expert, I want to hear his opinions. Well, he's not telling me his opinions. He's telling me something based on how much money someone else paid him to say it. Right? It's like, well, I think Andreas Antonopoulos is an expert. But if he goes on a TV show, if he goes on a commercial because Heinz ketchup told him to say this ketchup is great, I'm not going to go out and buy the ketchup. Right? He's an expert on Bitcoin, not on ketchup, and he's only telling me ketchup's great because a company paid him $1 million to say it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like that. I've never read the book Grunch of Gains by Buckminster Fuller. Don't know what that is. How long do you give the stock market and real estate before the bubble bursts? You know, the credit cycles usually are only 7 to 9 years, and we're in like, or it's usually like 7 years. This has been a long cycle. Granted, they printed a lot of money in 2009. The balance sheet went from 1 trillion to 4 trillion. This reminds me of a point. Actually, let me stick to topic. So I don't know. We're late in the cycle. I see a lot of signs of when the collateral starts shrinking, the banks have to pull in. You know, then they have to pull in money, which shrinks the supply further. Eventually, someone goes bankrupt, and then they got to be bailed out. And then if someone goes bankrupt who's really big, the central bank has to print money to bail them out. And usually that's sort of the end. When the central bank prints a bunch of money to end all problems, then we start the next cycle. It looks like we're starting the cycle of contraction. Now, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I sort of said that 6 months ago, and it was a little bit like, I don't know, maybe. And now it looks pretty clear. There's so many signs between the Fed raising interest rates, ECB wants to, you know, slowing down what they're printing. Everybody's slowing down with the printing. And you're seeing things declining, you know, equity prices and housing just went down in the U.S. You know, we've had problems in these smaller countries. Argentina already was bailed out. Turkey kind of got bailed out with a loan, but they've had some problems. So I'm seeing just a lot of these things. And once these things start happening, they feed on themselves. So until I see some major, you know, and the Fed doesn't want to stop right now. Like they don't want to start tightening because they need it's sort of they get their firepower because when they loosen, if they have a crash before they tighten, then they can't even loosen. You know what I'm saying? So I think so. Right now, I think things start getting tighter. What is higher? I don't know what that means. Oh, what do you, Dave? What do you think is higher, VBIQ or the average Tron holders? What is VB? Don't know what VB is. Tron and Bitcoin Cash. So I don't know what VB is. I like to say Tron is dumb money's favorite cryptocurrency. If you watch me, so I have Instagram where occasionally I talk about cryptocurrencies, and I mentioned that thing about Tron. What did they say? He did it again, this Justin Sun. Big announcement coming. And then he's like, making a deal with Baidu. I was like, wow, a deal with Baidu. You know, maybe I've been wrong about Tron and something. And then the deal is they're buying hosting services from Tron. Now, you know, in his defense, it's sort of, I think it's a little bit of a custom deal in that, you know, because of whatever they're doing. Granted, I don't know how decentralized you are if you're buying hosting from a centralized system. But it sounds to me like Baidu wants to be able to offer these services to other crypto projects, which would create competition in a way, maybe for Tron or Tron's model here. And Tron's paying them for this. It's a partnership with Baidu. That's like me saying I have a partnership with Amazon, because when I go to Whole Foods and go to the sushi guy, he makes me a custom sushi plate. We have a partnership. Yeah, and so yeah. Okay, some of these questions, if I can't understand the question, you know, what about proof of IQ? Your voting stake is based on your IQ. This whole voting thing, there's a lot of stuff with the voting. I avoid it. I don't. I'll tell you what. You know why? I recently figured out why I'm sort of anti-voting. Because like I said, I've always been into decentralization. When I started my company in '95, I was so into decentralization. Everybody works from home. I didn't have warehouses. We had dropshippers. And I remember, too, even with the structure, I didn't even like to say, oh, I'm CEO. It's just I'm just another person on the team. And we're all working together. And I really made great efforts to get ideas from everybody. And that definitely helped. It's good to have an open, flat organization. But at the same time, I got to say, now, it's not even like but a lot of the big idea things that happened were my ideas. Hey, you know, and when I see, never mind me, I'm no genius. And it might also be that, you know, someone that I hired for $15 an hour might not have the same background, and you wouldn't expect them to have as big of ideas. But I look at companies, you know, Tesla, how many thousands of people work for them? But it's Elon is the genius there. Steve Jobs, you know, Apple was a company with lots of people. They were doing shitty. Sudden Steve Jobs came in. All of a sudden, they were doing great. Great leaders, I think, are who fulfill visions and not the crowds. The crowds have, there's some benefits, and something with voting will probably become big. But in general, I would rather see a brilliant visionary leading an organization. And what I care about with decentralization is that the system is decentralized. Well, I can get into that, but I'm not betting on any systems that include voting now. I want to see something working. And maybe something will work quickly and I'm wrong and I'll see why and I'll change my mind. But at this point, a lot of that scares me. And I also, never mind. Oh my God. All right. It's been 2 hours. How many more questions? Like a million? I don't know. Wait, let me see if I'm right here. Let's see how many left. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to answer any more from Rafe, Mr. Every Question. I'm going to scan through here. Let me make a note of where I'm stopping because I got to do that. I'm going to do like a table of contents in the description. I'm just going to stick through, see if there's anything I feel like answering because I'm also getting tired, guys. And if you ask something that now I'm skipping, feel free to ask next week. So did you change your mind on VeChain? So yeah, so first of all, I don't think it's a scam. Just from the very little information that people forwarded me, it looks like VeChain is not a scam. Like I thought it might be a total, just not even real. But does it have value? I just got, like I said, I'm tired of digging. I don't, listen, if VeChain turns out to be something amazing, someday I'll go, oh, people wanted me to study it, but I was too tired and I didn't, and I missed out. Most likely it's not, because, right, most things don't turn out to be anything. If I keep hearing a lot about it in a couple of years, or I see one article that actually, you know, I see one of these people I respect on Twitter who I follow talk about it and go to an article, and I'll be like, okay. But at this point, I don't want to research it. So I no longer think it's a scam, but I don't give a crap. And if I had a bet, if I was going to research it, and you wanted me to bet before I research what I'm going to think at the end, I bet you I wouldn't want to invest in. That's just because 90% of all things I don't like to invest in, right? I'm picky. But, you know, maybe it's great. Anything else? Best crypto podcasts are are Unchained and Off the Chain. Off the Chain with, one of them is Laura Shin and the other one is Anthony Pompliano. They have a lot of great, and you can listen on the web and then iTunes and SoundCloud. They usually have multiple ways you can listen, and there's a lot of good ones there. Best way to save money is to save money regular over time. Like, have a thing, if you have regular income, some percent, some amount every week, or a percent or something. Like you do dollar cost averaging, dollar cost savings, and save it, even if you're not investing. Remember, there's spending, saving, investing. Spending is you buy something that you can't resell, you lose your value, the money's gone. Saving is you're holding it, you still have it, and hopefully the money or whatever you're saving it in holds its value. Investing is you put it away, but eventually it'll come back with more is the hope, but sometimes it comes back with less, sometimes it doesn't come back. So saving is just holding, and it's good to have some savings. It's less risky than the investing. And just, you know, you dollar cost average to build up your savings, just like you dollar cost average into investing. Yeah, that's interesting. How do you teach your kids how to choose the right friends? Yeah, they're too young. I don't really, I'm just hope they're friends with everyone. Yeah, we can get in. I'm too tired. I can't even get into it. Okay, I finished. Awesome. And sorry if I skipped yours at the end. Thank you for watching. I appreciate any feedback on this new format and what I'm doing. Let me know. You can comment under this video. So this video I'll leave up for a couple weeks. Let me know your thoughts on the show, the format, any suggestions, whatever. Remember, I asked about Rafe West. Who wants this guy asking 20 questions? Like I said, I enjoy it. I like that there's a lot of questions, but I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. This was fun. Let's do it again next week. I don't know. I feel exhausted right now, but I think by next Thursday I'll be excited again. All right. Thank you all, and much love.